you can always count on Donald Trump to say the dumbest goddamn thing imaginable. So this Trump, who knows nothing. Okay, I'm all right. He said, quote, this was 100-year event, unquote. Stop. Full stop.
I don't have a view on whether this is a good or a bad measure, but senior senators like Chuck Grassley, the ranking Republican on the Finance Committee, said he had no idea this was in the bill. The 91-year-old Iowa Republican may be over the bend, but other senators said the same thing. They were in the dark. This is not only the worst legislation, James, I've ever seen, but it's the sloppiest, most careless. It really is a disgrace. It gets more disgraceful the more we learn about it, James.
Well, I don't know how to say it, but you're 100% right. And I don't think we even close to finding everything that's in here. It was intentionally jammed. It intentionally passed with all Republican votes. They didn't want anybody to read it. It's pretty clear. And it's pretty clear they didn't read it. And it's pretty clear that the Supreme Court and the Congress have agreed to just turn over any power that they were constitutionally given and just give it to the executive. And the catastrophe is so ongoing, so devastating. I literally am one of these people I hope to God we get through this. But I got to tell you, I don't think it's a certainty. I don't think it's a certainty at all.
As you say, this week the Supreme Court said, you have carte blanche to fire people. I mean, John Roberts and company really ought to register as a Trump PAC, because they're going to let him get away with everything because they too are scared. And
so if you authorize of something, then you don't have to do it. I don't understand that logic.
Their logic is that they're Republicans, James. It really is. It's a partisan court. And I don't think under the same circumstances they ever would have let Biden or Obama or Clinton get away with this. I don't think there's any question of that. But it's
right, but it's every institution that we have is not protecting us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty goddamn sad. I read the Larry Summers piece. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was just right on the money. And there are going to be whole books coming out about this. And people said, "Well, we didn't know that you're going to hear that a lot, all right? And you're going to hear it more and more." And
if you're a United States senator, a United States representative, I don't think it's asking. I really don't think it's asking much to say in the most important bill of this Congress, you know what's in it. I may disagree with your vote, but you at least ought to know what the hell's in it.
I think it's 1,000 pages. How big a staff does Grassley have? He could have broken it down into 100 pages each and have a verbal briefing. But all right, Senator, this is what's in this page, and this is what's here. I mean, maybe the guy's 92. I don't know. I don't know if I could sit down and read 1,000-page piece of legislation. I don't know if people have that attention span. But given the resources they had, they could have known everything in that. They didn't want to know. Right?
James, you're absolutely right. But what else they could have done? They could have had a process. They could have had witnesses. They could have had analysis. They could have taken a big bill like this. It usually takes months. I mean,
right. You can subpoena people and people can tell you what's in there.
Right. They did it and they wanted to do it in hours. It is the most irresponsible act imaginable. And they ended up with such a crappy product in part because of that.
I mean, we're going to run against them so hard on this, and we should. All right, you didn't know what you were voted for. All right, Senator so-and-so wants re-election. This is what he voted for in the middle of the night without asking a single question. Not a one. I don't know of any of them that questioned any of this, ever.
Tom Tillis was the only Republican that really did. And he voted against the bill. And Tillis said the other day, and I actually coming to his defense, that he was so concerned with the other parts of the bill that were being misrepresented and that were going to cause such harm that he too missed things like the gambling laws change because there was just so much bad. I give Tillis credit, but you're right. The Grassley's and company, Grassley's run by his staff anyway, so his staff, I guess, just decided he had no need to know.
But okay, so somebody could have called. They know who Tillis is. I'm sure they're buying that car because they could have said, "Tom, what are you seeing?" They said that concerns you. What could anything you could have done? They didn't do anything. Nothing. No due diligence. Completely total negligence. Added $3.3 trillion that we know of to the debt. All right. Cut funding for cancer research, for science, for anything that you can think of. And no one even asked a question. Not a single goddamn question that I know of. I mean, I'm sure somebody will find something. And there were people knew this. It's a 1,000-page bill. Given the resources that the United States Congress has, they could have had that bill synthesized, bullet point, processed in 3 hours. It's not that hard. It's really not. It doesn't take you to sit in your coal oil lamp at night, squinching your eyes to read something. They can analyze this stuff almost instantly. I when I see this, I can't believe it, Albert. I just can't believe it.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And James, there's a simple reason they didn't do that. They didn't want to. All they gave a damn about was passing this bill because their master Donald Trump said, "I want it by July 4th." I don't care what's in it. It really is a disgrace.
It's a violation of the oath of office.
It is.
It's a violation of what you're supposed to do. I mean, you could say, look, and even some of them say, well, there was some bad things in here, but I know for it anyway. All right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
of course, they didn't take any out because the House had no choice. What about the 218 people in the United States House of Representatives that voted for it?
Right.
They didn't know anything in it.
Yeah. I mean,
come on. So,
James, with your Louisiana and Mississippi homes, you have real expertise in natural disasters and relief, the problems in the Texas Hill Country. On July 4th, there was a flash flood tragedy that's killing. It's approaching 200 now, including young girls at a camp. From what we know so far, was this avoidable, and what lessons are there for the future?
So Albert, I have a saying: whenever floodwaters recede, but probably true of fires or anything else, the first thing that gets exposed is a pointing finger. All right. Wasn't me; it was him or her or whoever. All right. So we're in the midst of this tragedy. What was the reason? Well, we got it. Hopefully, there'll be some kind of a qualified investigation and recommendations to be made. I already know. But I am going to tell you what happened. When the Confederacy lost, Jefferson Davis said the Confederacy, quote, died of a theory, unquote. Of course, that theory being we don't need no government. We rebel because they had a federal government. We wanted to do it. We wanted to do. There's stories that the governor of North Carolina wouldn't give the Confederate Army uniforms or boots. I mean, it was all different things. It was a flawed theory. The theory you don't need government. And I hear people say to me at this time, well, you got to understand, our Constitution was written to limit the power of government. Actually, you're fucking wrong. It was written because we had limited government under the Articles of Confederation, and it didn't work. All right, James, will you get to what happened in Texas? I'm getting to what happened in Texas. The theory is we don't need the government telling us where we build, how we build, what we build. We don't need any sirens going off in the middle of the goddamn night. All right. So this was the theory. So in Kerr County was built on that theory that we don't need zoning, we don't need anything. We just need hardworking people that come here, go to church, do their work, and live in this blessed land in the Texas Hill Country. And you keep doing the same thing. So, the Weather Service, well, as far as I know, they got it pretty right.
Yeah,
Now, they
they
didn't
did.
have the communications coordinator in there. So a weather forecaster that a meteorologist knows is not any good unless the people know. Well, the people didn't know because the legislature had an idea to give a grant to build this stuff. The guy in the Texas legislature from Kerr County voted against it.
Yeah.
And then the county had a chance to put this oranges in, and they said they didn't want to spend the money because that violates their theory of limited government. And then you can always count on Donald Trump to say the dumbest goddamn thing imaginable. So this Trump, who knows nothing. Okay, I'm all right. He said, quote, this was 100-year event, unquote. Stop, full stop. First of all, they don't do that anymore because that even if he's right, let's assume that this is going to happen every 100 years. All right, a knowledgeable guy like this told me 100-year events means there's a 16-to-1 chance it will happen in any given year. I'm not quite sure what the math is, but maybe one of our listeners can send it in and we could do it. But whatever. So let's just say once in 100. Well, you and I are 80. So there's an 80% chance we're going to drown. Is that the chance? Does that make any sense at all? For him to be that goddamn stupid to say, well, it was 100-year event. 100 years events are, and of course, I hate to say the obvious because every person that listens to the show knows what's coming out of my mouth next. With climate change, every 5 years is 100 years. So what's going to happen? They're going to be doing a timeline, and they're going to be doing this. They're going to be doing. Of course, they're going to install the sirens. Of course, they're going to do all of that. But understand, at the bottom of this, these kids died of a theory, and people are dying every day of a stupid, jackass Austrian theory. And that is at the bottom of what happened. I promise you.
And James, looking ahead, we're probably not going to resolve that in places like Kerr County, I'm afraid. But Trump wants to eliminate FEMA. Given climate change, my guess is over the next couple of years, if anything, these disasters may be worse. So what do you who takes over if you eliminate FEMA?
He doesn't have any idea. Eliminating FEMA is in service to the theory. You don't need that. The churches can do it, or some stupid shit that they say. It's not going to stop. It didn't stop in Western North Carolina. It didn't stop in Los Angeles County. It didn't stop in Kerr County. It's not going to stop. But don't worry, we have the theory of limited government. All right, that should have been the responsibility of Katrina of the state of Louisiana. Right, they could have learned a lot about it given area. It's all so depressingly predictable, and there's FEMA. There was a day where everybody thought, well, that was a good. To my knowledge, they do a pretty good job. I mean, since they had that post Katrina disaster, that most of the people that have been put in there are kind of expert at this. And that's, we've done a lot of it. We know a lot, and we're just going to ditch all of that body of knowledge we have. Oh man, it's so much more depressing than you think. That's the real thing. It's not these children died. Not as 109 confirmed and 160 missing. I hate to say this, but after this many days, if you're missing, I don't think it looks very good.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
that's
it
just
it
so
it,
fucking.
it
And
is a
all they had to do, they had the correct weather forecast at 118. I think they had like a 4 or 5 hour lag time that no one knew. The freaking mayor didn't know. And there's gonna have to be that if you get a weather radio, which I don't have one, and no one else does, that it never goes off, and you would hear the beeping siren. The weather alerts come on a cell phone. A lot of people sleep with their cell phone off. It's in a different room. I don't know. I mean, it's got to be. The best way to do it would have been for the public to pay for a system of sirens so people wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, shit, I'm getting out of Dodge. They're blowing these things for some reason. I'll move and ask later. It's all so depressingly predictable.
yeah. Well, I think you have put your finger on the blame where it lies. I want to take just one little shot at Senator Ted Cruz. Senator Ted Cruz, who famously went to Cancun when there was the huge outage in Texas years ago, was in Greece vacationing with his family. That's fine. The Senate wasn't in session. He has every right to take a vacation. The news of this came out early on July 4th, early AM July 4th. They're probably 7 hours ahead of us there. So he had every reason to know about it mid-morning, July 4th. He said he got back to Texas as quickly as he can, except at 6 p.m. on Saturday, which was 24, 28 hours later, he was photographed at the Pantheon. Now, Senator, I don't deny you your vacation with your family, but don't lie about it. Don't lie about it, and don't say I got back and I took charge as quickly as I could. There's enough tragedy, enough lying.
Well, maybe that son of a bitch ought to, I don't know. He goes to Cancun and the state freezes, right? He goes to Athens and people are drowning. Shit. So, but I want to address something about the lag time. They kind of insinuated, well, you had to get a seat. Do you know what would have happened if Ted Cruz would have called the president of American Airlines and said, hey, man, you got to get me back to San Antonio. I'm here in Athens. Shit. Don't tell me. They did a move.
Of course. Of course.
The lamest fucking excuse I ever heard in my life.
Well, that's
okay.
it.
It's so lame. And I don't know what, I don't even know if the guy is like, has a human reaction to this. I really don't. I don't know. It's just, it's very, 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 very weird.
Well, it is that. I'm sorry out there. This is a depressing segment because these are depressing developments. I want to reiterate again on the budget bill. Read Larry Summers' guest essay in the Times. I am ashamed of my country, because sadly he has really, really nailed it.